Hello everybody, welcome to Being Fit and Lean. If you're new, please hit that like and subscribe button, folks. I want to talk about something very controversial, folks. I hope it won't upset anyone. Okay, this is why I believe Donald Trump could be my biological father. Okay, so there are several reasons why I think that Donald Trump could be my father. Now, there are some reasons why he probably isn't my father, and I'll go into both sides of the argument. Okay, first of all, I look almost nothing like my biological father. I look a lot like I look a lot like my mother, but what I notice to most folks, I look a lot like Donald Trump Jr. in many ways. And I noticed that there's like an uncanny resemblance to some of the Trumps, and I actually had a dream that Donald Trump's daughter was my sister. It could have been a fantasy or whatever, but I was in this big mansion and Donald Trump was there. And then I had another dream about Donald Trump where he asked me to buy him a gold suit. And I said, well, why are you asking me? And he gave me a wink and said, you know the reason. Okay, so that's possibility number one. Possibility number two, my father and my mother used to take a lot of business trips up to New York City. When my father used to go up to New York City, my mother sometimes would be by herself. And so there's some possibility that in the heat of the moment, Donald Trump could see. My mother was a very attractive woman, I must say. So she would be his type. And in the possibility that maybe they had a night together. Now this would have to be in 1978 because I was conceived in July 78. I was born in April 79, right? I must have been conceived July 78. So it happened in 1978. My father was taking a lot of business trips up to New York. And he was leaving my mother alone in the hotel room sometimes. And, lonely housewife, hundreds of miles from home, might get a little bit lonely, I don't know, go down to the bar for a drink, meet someone like Donald Trump, okay? Now here are the arguments why Donald Trump might not be my father. Okay, first of all, my height. Donald Trump is 6'3", I'm 5'10" and a half, okay? Trump Jr., who is the shortest of the Trumps, is 6'1". Now, genetically, I would be a little bit different being so short in comparison to the Trumps. Okay, I'm not short in general, but compared to Donald Trump, 6'3", 5'10" and a half, it wouldn't be likely, because usually we are at least our father's height or above. Now, my own father, my biological father was 5'11" and a half when he was in the Army. He's shrunk 2 inches since then in old age, but my mother was 5'7" and a half. So I'm roughly their averages, right? That makes sense. I'm 5'10" and a half. But it is unlikely that, well, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I'm just saying I don't fit the height, the height of the Trumps, because they are pretty tall. Another reason why I don't really look at all like Donald Trump himself. There's no, well, Donald Trump Jr. does have brown eyes, like me. Okay, Donald Trump Jr. does have brown eyes, but with me it's another level. I don't really look at all like Donald Trump, not even remotely. Okay, I do have his dramatic build. Have you noticed why Donald Trump has aged so well? It's because he has the big shoulders and all. I have that. Okay. Donald Trump being my father could be a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm not saying I'm not saying it's 100% accurate. I do have a lot of personality traits that are similar to the Big D. I have that chutzpah that he has. That's what the Jews, my Hebrew friends use the word chutzpah, like means you have a go-get-it. That's me. And I don't take insults and criticism very well. Okay, I take it very personally. What else? Well, I think overall, I'm one of those hated men in America on the internets, okay? Donald Trump is not well liked. We both have that in common. Actually, he has a lot of loyal followers, but a lot of haters. I get that too. I have many loyal fans, but a lot of haters. Very few in between. No one's on the fence about me. Um, Donald Trump is a very smart man. Now, I'm not saying I'm mentally retarded, but I don't really have his intelligence. Okay. Now, my parents, my alleged father is very smart. Was very smart. My mother was smart for a woman. Very smart. Um, the jury is out, folks. Could I be Donald Trump's son? I don't know. Now, at the time, in 1978, when that would have happened, Donald Trump would have been 32 years old. So that's about right, right? About, a young man out on the town looking for some. And I just don't know. I do know that my parents took a lot of business trips up to New York, and they would stay they would stay at the Waldorf Historian. Is that New York? I don't know. They stopped doing this in 1986. When I was about 7, we used to go up to New York a lot. We went to the Waldorf, and it was in 1986. That was the last time we were in New York. Or as my father called it, Jew York. My father called it Jew York, but that's another story. He had to work for a lot of Jews. But 1986 was the last time we went to New York, and I was 7 years old, okay? And I wanted to go to Trump Towers, and I begged my mother, can we go to Trump Towers? And my mother reluctantly said yes. Well, that's where I met Donald Trump's daughter. Yeah. She was a few years. I met Ivanka Trump there, and we played together. I was He-Man, and she was Sheila. We played He-Man together. See, even back then I had the riz. But isn't that interesting? I could have met my half sister at Trump Towers in 1986. She would have been 4. I was 7. Maybe she was 5, almost 5, maybe. No, she was almost 5. Yeah, about 5, 7-ish. That's normal, isn't it? 5, 7-year-olds can play together. So we played together, and I was He-Man, she was Sheila, and that was awesome. But she said, "Well, I live here with my nanny, and my name is Ivanka." Was it Ivanka? Yeah, Ivanka. And she was this blonde girl, and I was, well, I'm here, my father's on a business trip. So if I met my half-sister there in New York, what I have to do is some research to see if she's still there. But my mother was very hesitant about going to Trump Towers. She didn't want to take me to Trump Towers. I said, well, can't we just go to Trump Towers? Because, it'd be a lot of fun. And then we went to Rockefeller Center, where I went ice skating, I think. Although I remember even back in 1986, it was like $10 for an orange juice. That's New York for you. My mother loved New York. She loved it. She didn't like the way she was treated in the 1960s when she was there, because they didn't like Southerners. But she loved New York. She loved the plays. She loved to go up there. She wanted to be an actress. My mother was accepted into the drama school in New York, the one where James Dean went, where Marlon Brando went. They were her contemporaries, and she was accepted to the Actors Studio in New York. And she went up there, but she couldn't cut it because her mother, my grandmother had a problem, okay? And my uncle came to get my mother and said, "You're going back to Richmond right this minute, you crazy gal." So it was like a movie. It was like something like Breakfast at Tiffany's. My mother was living in an apartment called the Evangeline Home for Business Women. And anyway, long story short, she had to come back to Richmond. My father met my mother on a blind date, allegedly. And they went to a movie in Richmond called North by Northwest. This was 20 years before I was born. Anyway, folks, my mother was up there in New York, trying to get her modeling. She was a model. My mother was a beautiful woman. She was a model. This is what I don't understand. Why did I turn out so ugly if my mother was a model? I mean, my mother was a attractive woman, But anyway, long story short, could Donald Trump be my father? Well, he would have to take a paternity test and see. Well, I don't know, folks. If he's my father, I'm very happy about that. But I still love my dad. I want to say I love my dad. You know, the dad that I know. He's been a very good father to me. I just don't know if he's my real father. Okay, so I just want to bring this up because we all need to know who we are. And we all need to really know who we are because it can drive us nuts, right? Thank you all for watching. Go to my website, meetscopesplace.com. Remember, folks, say a prayer for some special day. Bye-bye.